If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call Parents and Addicts in Need at 559-579-1551 or check us out online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media at Pain Nonprofit. Please subscribe to the podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts. To donate, please click the link in the description and help us save more lives gripped by addiction. Don't Hide the Scars, a weekly podcast focused on addiction and recovery. Created by the nonprofit PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, and founded by Flindt Andersen.
Dr. Robb Kelly, welcome to Don't Hide the Scars. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you again, man. Great to be here. I'm looking forward to this one.
We're glad. I was going to start to say something. I thought, no, you two guys are doing just fine. Yeah, there we go. Dr. Robb, great to have you with us. We appreciate it.
You know, Dr. Robb, something we've gotten into with people and, knowing the type of care that you work, which I always love learning more. I learn something new and enlightening every time I talk to you. But we've been talking about that, eliminating the why. Flindt does a parent group meeting. Well, it's really a family group. Wouldn't you call it? Anyone's welcome. Yeah. The addict, the family member of the addict, but that why that always sits out there. How do you focus with people on eliminating the why and actually let's focus on the solution?
Well, most people, what we do the same thing. It's like a 12-step meeting, but families, kids, husbands, they all come, So it's all about perspective for me. And it's all about realizing who the person is. Nobody knows how powerful they really are. That's the problem. And I always say to my guys, we figure out the how and figure out the why. Listen, we have to figure out you. Who are you? Well, I'm just a normal person. That's impossible. You're unique. There's not another one around. You're empowered, and you obviously can't see the vision that you're meant to be. So that's one of our best jobs, I think, is opening up their thought patterns and imagination to what they're actually capable of. So the dream of the how actually comes to fruition while we're doing that work.
Well, and you do a lot with cognitive behavior too.
Yeah, I think it's really important. But there's a few tools that we use. It's brain spotting, which is quite new. Somatic experience has been around for about 100 years. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and traditional psychology. And I think that cognitive work is very, very important because especially when we look at alcoholics and addicts, most people I deal with now are not alcoholics and addicts. But if you are, 1% of alcohol is to do with alcoholism, and the same with drug, 1%. It's not the alcohol, it's not the drugs, it's the thinking. It's all part of, who we are and what our makeup is. And if we can see that and work with that, then obviously you're heading the right way. And that's very important. I don't have a drinking problem. I have a thinking problem. With the alcoholic, the basal ganglia and the hypothalamus tied to the amygdala is the problem. So you have to remap that. But lately, the last couple of months, I've been remapping CEOs, business guys, to remap for success because it is possible. I think one of the things we have to remember is every single neural pathway to success, to health, to wealth has already exist in your head.
Right.
They were there from birth. So what my job is connect those. The neural pathway doesn't know where he is, doesn't know who he is. And what I do is I connect them neural pathways to success, health, and many more. Once they're connected, you cannot disconnect them. I have this great video that I usually show, which shows a live neural pathway connecting to a pathway that's already made, bump, and in we go. And that's what brings people out of people and go, wow, you mean I'm really capable of this? And the answer is always yes.
Yeah. We have found over the years too, in our addiction, we had, but in simpler terms, because I love what you just said, we cannot connect A to B, B to C, C to D. We can go A to F, D to D, D to Y, whatever it is, but we just can't connect, like normal people connect. But once you get that brain retrained again, then you can. I just love what you had to say.
Well, if you have to imagine that the alcoholics and drug addicts are slightly different. Alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made. So the alcoholic brain is born with more self-sabotaging neural pathways than normal neural pathways. That's a predisposition. That's passed down from generation to generation. You can always trace alcoholism in your family if you are the real deal.
Sure.
Not so much with drug addiction. The only problem we get when we get to a couple of generations is grandfather liked a drink, which usually meant he was a chronic alcoholic. So you can literally trace that down. And what I say to people is the alcoholic mind is different. We hear things, we see things different. And people go, that's impossible. And it's not. We've done so many trials and tests on what you hear. We misinterpret that. A great example, me and my brother stood on the kitchen table. My mum walks in. We're not supposed to be there. She says to both of us, get down off that table. Stupid idiot, get down. And my brother jumps up and I freeze. Because what I've heard, get down off that table. Because I'm in that trauma. I'm in that on alert all of the time with my brain.
Right.
You know, I have the all or nothing brain, but I also have the stuck on high alert. You know, anything jumps around me and we're looking and scared. And that's just the way it is. And if the brain is not remapped around that, then the trauma from that alone will destroy you as you get into your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whenever it may show. And while we're on that subject, I want to say that trauma is a gateway drug.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because trying to get that across to family members, that training or retraining to get that brain back on track again is unbelievably difficult to do. Most of these families, they just want it done, like we always talk about, in that 30 days or that 60 days. And then, of course, they think that their kid is cured. Everybody's fixed. We can move on. And then it's just half the time it starts all over again, you know, with these parents. And they're asking us, well, I thought you were going to do this. And I thought you were going to do that. And again, they just don't understand that this takes time.
Yeah. A lot of people say to me, he's acting out all behavior again. And my answer is the same. If he's acting out old behavior, it's not hold its current behavior. Mm-hmm. We found with families we will not take a patient on, let's say it's the guy, without his wife and anybody over the age of 18 still living in the family house. We will not. When we work with the family, the alcoholic success rate goes up by 42%. Mm-hmm. That's what we found over 10 years of studying this. So the expert and the family, the wife always comes on and says the same thing. Okay, let me tell you what he does all the time. We go, whoa, this is not about him. This is about you.
Right.
And we're going to explain what he goes through, but we're also explaining what you're going through and your trauma. And they go, I haven't got any trauma. Okay, answer me this as a mother. Why have you let your husband beat you most nights in front of your kids and not done anything about that?
Right.
And they freeze every time. I go, look, it's a family illness. We're both going to take you on 2 different rafts, swim to your own rafts, and we're going to pull you together to shore as we finish the program. I think it's really important. Education. If I was in the studio now, we walked out into the road now, we'd stop 10 people and say, what's an alcoholic? Go, somebody who drinks too much alcohol. It's got nothing to do with the alcohol. Right. 1%. It's the spots to my chicken pox. It's not the problem. In fact, alcohol was my solution for a long, long time. Yeah. If we could just stop drinking, surely all my problems would be over.
Right.
But it goes way deeper than that.
You bet it does. You bet it does.
Dr. Robb knows my family history. So, but oh boy, yeah, you're in for it. Because I'm still in that phase of unraveling a lot of stuff. I still get in, and you've seen it here, the anxiety of the fight or flight mode just activated on things that later I break down and I go, why is it that way? Why the hell did I react that way? I'm still having to work that process every day.
That fight or flight part, I think I explained to you last time we spoke, but that fight or flight is partly the hypothalamus, but it's our fight or flight. But let's check this out, guys. Guys, listen at home, sit down, grab a cup of tea, listen to this. It'll shock you, I hope. So the hypothalamus is our fight or flight, but it's also our survival instinct. So what happens is it will tell a normal person to drink water and eat food to survive. We're born this way. When we're hungry, we stick our hand down our mouth or we start crying as a baby because we know that we need to survive and we know we need food and water.
Right.
At a certain point where the alcoholic, which is born, not made, you can't drink yourself into becoming an alcoholic. It's not possible. Well, at a certain point when we cross over, we go through the 3 stages, go through the normal drinking, moderate, then the heavy drinking, abusing, then we cross over to alcoholic drinking. When we cross over that visible line, the hypothalamus tells me to drink alcohol. And that's why I can go days and weeks without water or food. Mm-hmm. Now, when you say that it's impossible to say no once that hypothalamus is telling me to drink, because the brain is telling me,
right,
mixed with the basal ganglia, which is our repetition, strengthened, confirmed part of the brain, is disformed. So that's why we go, hey, look, we got the girlfriend, turns into our wife, we have kids, blah, 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 bang, self-sabotage. Then we get back again, we get sober, bang, self-sabotage every single time. So when you're born, that 3 different areas of the brain are on self-destruct. It's a wonder why many people make it through addiction.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that you guys have so much success with a lot of unorthodox methods. And how do you see that you differentiate with Dr. Robb Kelly, your recovery group, that really stands out and tends to be unorthodox?
Well, first of all, you can't buy our services. You cannot, like a treatment center. Well, some of them, you walk in, pay your money, they'll accept you. We do an assessment, and all the assessments are with me, not the staff. And you have to prove to me that you're ready. And there's certain questions I ask, and certain, that I make sure that they're ready. So secondly, when you come on board, 99.9% of our work is telehealth. We've been doing telehealth for almost 9 years. It's not sudden overnight I became a telehealth provider. That's not, you can't do that. I went back to college for a second PhD in behavioral science to do what I do. Because what we found is when people come into the office, they're all sterile with a tie on, they've had a shave, they're looking good. At home now, pajamas on, nice t-shirt, you're relaxed. I can get into your head a lot quicker than that. The other thing is we're a no nonsense. We don't tolerate any BS. You misbehave. We do check-ins every day, 4 times a day. You got to check in, text in. If you miss 2 of them, we drop you. Don't get refunds, we drop you. We will breathalyze you, test you 24 hours a day. We'll knock at the door at 2:00 in the morning. Right. You see, we're a concierge service. We only work with 4 to 6 patients. We only have 3 now, and all my staff revolve around them 3. And we will do whatever it takes. Young guy with us now, we've just built him a website. We give him $5,000 to start his own business. He's successful. His family is so amazed. It's fantastic. It's like once you start changing the way people think and therefore behave and therefore act, there's amazing things that can happen. And that's what we do. We focus on who you really are. Most alcoholics and addicts and normal people, especially after the pandemic, they've lost their identity. Right. When you show somebody the identity, they start getting excited. I can predict, I did it today on the 15th today. I'm working with this guy for 2 weeks only. I told him the 15th, amazing things are going to happen and you're going to have a great day at work. He's trebled his intake as a jeweler, trebled his intake today on Friday. Today, because I programmed his mind to do today. And he got up in a great mood and he's chatting to all the staff and everyone's on fire. And that's what it's about. So we do stuff that other people don't do. We do the brain spotting, we do the NLP, we do the SE, we do the psychology, but it's also that one-on-one of, are you the real deal to come in front of me and work? Because what I see disheartened with is guys going out, including me, going in the same treatment center 2, 3, 4 times, paying the same amount of money every single time. It's like we are the only company in the world or universe that offer a money-back guarantee if you drink or drug after leaving us. As long as you continue to follow our program, we will refund your money. In 20-something years, I've never refunded anyone's money. It's like we guarantee that you'll succeed. We'll guarantee that the wife, the happiness, girlfriend, whatever it is that we need to succeed at, that we will go the extra mile to do that. And I think that's what the business is if you concentrate on the money, you miss the dream.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I concentrate on the dream, the money will come.
Right.
We've never concentrated on. I'm the guy that turned, I'm the guy that turned Britney Spears down for $1 million 14 years ago in Dallas. She wasn't ready. I'm not going to take anybody for money. That's the deal. And other treatment centers around and other people, they have a business from. I get it. If they don't take a certain amount of money every month, then they got to start laying people off. We're not like that. We're very wealthy to start with. So we don't have to worry about getting somebody's money. And we do it for the right reasons. My paid in full is when mom, because it's usually sons or daughters, when mom or dad or wife or husband calls me and starts crying and thanks me for saving their life. Sure. That's paid in full for me, man. Sure. I really do this out of a passion. I don't get involved with the money. I don't get involved with anything like that. I just want to, I just want to save somebody, man. If there's one guy when I was on the streets that saved me, I just want to be that guy every time. I want to be the guy called Derek that reached his hand out and there was nothing in it for him, if that makes sense.
Sure, makes perfect sense.
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised, top quality care with programs for detox, inpatient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living, support groups, and more. With 50 plus years of combined experience and sobriety, Flindt, Andersen, and Thelma Gatlin Wilson provide adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect, and a safe, comfortable environment. To begin the process of recovery, to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction, call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
Dr. Robb, let me ask you this. So you do not have then an inpatient detox facility, because I'm understanding that this is all telehealth and outpatient, basically. Am I right?
You are, but I need to add a couple of things. We have a detox concierge company we work with, and we actually have two houses. One for really high-end clients who can't be seen anywhere, like the film stars, rock stars. So we'll bring you here for 90 days. But yeah, apart from them two, then yeah, it's telehealth.
Yeah, because again, it's I own a treatment facility, and sometimes when treatment centers are taking people in, that's the third, the fourth, the fifth time, they're actually doing a disservice to that client. We're pretty hard line out here as well on what we do, because we do want to get to that person. We do want to help them. We do want to work with the families. And of course, and Jason knows this, that's what we do. That's what we're known for doing. But with us, it always starts with detox. If we don't get somebody detox first and get the alcohol or the drugs out of their system, then they're basically, in my opinion, pissing in the wind, as far as the rest of the therapy goes.
Yeah, it's 100% that we start with detox. I don't care if you've been sober for a week, we'll still stick you in our detox. And we'll stick you there. If you're not being heavy, 72 hours will clear it, and we're good enough for that. Otherwise, you're going to spend the week there. Right. And then, then you can, if you live in the area, obviously come to the office, but then we can send you on and work with you. And what we do is, it was something we came up with years ago, is while the guy, for instance, is in detox and he needs to stay in 10 days, then we start work with the wife and anybody over the age of 18. Right. So when they go back, everybody's on the same page here.
Right. So critical.
Yeah.
So critical that everybody's on the same page. Again, that is our biggest, I don't want to say fight, because that's not the right word, but it is our biggest challenge is getting these families on the same page. It's been a pain in our butt for a long time, but I will go back to what you said. There is nothing better. And I had a young man walk in here, Dr. Robb, last week, right? Yeah. Who just walked in. He had 10 years of sobriety, and he simply said, Flindt, he said, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be standing here, and I cannot explain that feeling. And that's the reward, that we really get out of doing this.
And I would have never have guessed that he was an addict when he walked in. I just thought this was someone maybe coming in concerning one of our fundraisers or something, and the guy looked phenomenal.
Oh no, and I got to tell you, when he walked in, energy. When he walked in 10 years ago, I mean, he's 6'6", but he walked in, he was all gothed out, he had all the tats and everything, head to toe. He weighed 140 pounds at 6'6". And my first reaction, I always tell him this, my first reaction was, what the hell am I going to do with this guy? And to see him now, and he's got a daughter, and oh God, it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
There's nothing like that feeling, that's like you said, it's, and I love to hear a story like that. And my esteem has gone up with you straight away, because we don't do the money. We don't take the money. It's like, if I can help you, I will. But if I can't, I can't. I'm not going to, take a chance, because this is somebody's life we're talking about, right. But we sit at about 97, 98% success rate right now, just because, what we do. If we had a big treatment center, obviously we wouldn't be there, because we'd have to take on more than 4 people.
Right.
But I think the concierge is needed, especially for the kind of people that we work with. We work with road sweepers, CEOs, footballers, movie stars. Makes a difference what part of life you come from. But I just think that we're doing the right thing.
I love what you do, because I remember, again, without mentioning names, I had to take somebody back to Massachusetts a few years back to a treatment facility. And I don't know and I can mention the treatment center. Have you ever heard of CRMC? Mm-mm. They're based out of Boston. What I really liked about this place was they did the same thing you're doing, except they have the facility that somebody can stay, but they really do a full-blown assessment on somebody. If they don't think you're going to be a part of this, or you're going to do your very best, whatever the assessment says, they will not take you, and they don't care who you are. And that's one of the few places in the United States that I really, really like. Yeah.
We used to have a ranch we brought people to, but only 2 people at a time, or mainly 1 if it was an A-list star. But yeah, we did all that, and it was just amazing. But I think to touch more people, I do a lot of talks now. I do a lot of free events for veterans. I do a lot of, I'm in a position, God bless me, to be in a position where I can only take on 4 patients, but I can also give back to the community, because that as well gives, I bless somebody monetarily, because God's blessed me every time I leave the house. Every time I leave the house. If any of you follow me on Facebook, you've seen yesterday, we give $100 out to a woman who couldn't afford milk for a baby, to the other one that couldn't afford food for the baby. I mean, it's all for me, it's all God's work. If when I'm working with his kids, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that one of our friends here, Tony Hoffman, put me a challenge to. Hopefully you meet him. He's in Dallas, so he's not that far from you. But he's like, I want to challenge you. You're going to make friends with a homeless guy. So the other night, for whatever reason, I wanted a Gatorade. I go to my girlfriend, I'm going to go get Gatorade. Do you want a Gatorade? Sure. Go to the 7-Eleven. Sure. There he is, Arthur. I've sent you videos of him sitting outside. And the power of when you go, hey, Arthur. Oh, hey, man. And all of a sudden this guy stands up, smiles. What do you need? But can I have a couple pieces of pizza? You got it, Arthur. And it's those things that you can do, those little things that can just change someone's life in the littlest of ways. He won't get help. He won't get help for the addiction, but
yeah, I mean, it even compliments, I compliment 3 people every day, because you can turn somebody's life around, and dopamine is released into my brain when I do that. So I love that. And if you don't believe that, guys, listen, when you're walking down the street, again, in a mixed up area or a confined area, and you see a guy, and let's say a girl, and they have nice sneakers on, well, as you walk past, go, hey, buddy, nice sneakers. And then carry on walking. He'll say thank you on the way past, then turn around and watch him. He'll look down at his shoes 2 or 3 times as he walks away. You've just made that guy's day. I get dopamine. He gets dopamine. It's one of the 4 chemicals that we need every single day to be happy, joyous, and free. Right. Most people don't know about that. I just want to be happy today. Are you getting the 4 chemicals that you need every single day to make this happen? And if you're not, it's the reason why you're depressed. It's the reason why you can't stay sober. One of them, can't stay sober. It's the reason why your life's shit. It's like you have to know this stuff. It's education to the guys that you need to make these chemicals flow every single day.
Yeah. And opioids have a tendency to hijack that dopamine, at least Dr. Robb, do you agree with that? Because I've done some research on it, and I'm a recovering opioid addict. So
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It does. It hijacks up most of the chemicals. Because when we start using, and I'm an alcoholic, I'm not a drug addict. I can take morphine or anything. It doesn't bother me. Right. Never been into drugs. This is why alcoholics and drug addicts are different. I'm allergic to the ethanol in alcohol. That's the difference. I have an allergy to the ethanol, which is a big difference. But yeah, it messes up everything. You're not getting the endorphin straight away because you're not moving, as you know, you're sort of stationary taking this crap. Dopamine's a reward system, a little tiny bit. We did a test, which we followed 3 drug addicts around with their permission, and we paid some money after the event, well after, so it wasn't the relapse. But we followed them from the moment, the thought of the drug, the drive there, and at the dealers with the first hit. The most intoxicating part of that was the drive to the dealership.
Absolutely.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Absolutely. I remember a time, and I use this when I'm doing my speaking. this was a number of years ago. I was coaching baseball and with some junior high kids, and I'm out at the baseball field. I'm out of pills, and at the end of my using, in the last 2 to 3 years, I was taking between 70 and 87.5 Vicodin every day, and so you could imagine that was my job. I mean, I had to get that. And in those days, it was easy to get. Doctors weren't hooked up, pharmacies weren't hooked up. It was pretty easy to get them. But I was out of pills. It was a Saturday. I had, I'm calling doctors. I'm lying to them. I hurt my back. I hurt my knee. Somebody give me a call back. And I am just jonesing big time out at the baseball field. And I kind of sit down out in center field. And a couple of the guys walk up, "Coach, you okay?" And I'm going, "No, I got the flu." I'm using that excuse. I've got the flu. Yeah. And then I went to a payphone, called my doctor. A little bit while later, we had cell phones were just out in those days. He calls me back. And the point here is this. All of a sudden, I knew that Walgreens was about 4 blocks over that way, and I was fine. Yeah. All of a sudden, I went into, now I still needed the drug because I'm starting to go through withdrawals, but something clicked in my brain that I knew I was going to have that in as little as 30 minutes, and everything seemed to calm down.
I often tell a story. I was outside a liquor store when I was homeless. I have a vest on, I have a pair of shorts and a pair of flip-flops, and it's snowing in Manchester. So it's below 0.2 or something below. I'm sweating profusely.
Sure.
I've got a banging headache. I can't stop shaking. And I'm going into the DTs. The guy opens the store because he knows me, 5:30 in the morning, closes the door behind me. And I can't even, I got my $10 and I put it on the counter. Puts the bottle of vodka on. This was my reaction. Headache stopped, shake stopped.
Yeah.
Energy changed. Now I'm happy. Hey, I hope you have a great day today, shopkeeper. Not even open the bottle. And I often tell that story, just like you. Is like, once we get to know, so therefore you have to ask you the question, is it about the alcohol and drugs? And the answer is no, it's not. It's about my thinking. It's about my self-sabotage. Why do I hate me so much that I have to self-sabotage on a daily basis? Right. And then you got the predisposition that messes everything up. Then we take other drugs to try and calm down, which messes all our chemicals up.
Right.
And it's no wonder that 80% of people who have the real deal die of this disease.
Made me think of a situation when I was living in a neighborhood when I was still married. And I didn't think of it this way, but I had my dealers all around me as an alcoholic. "Oh, Jason, what's going on?" Bob or whatever the neighbor was. "Oh, just a tough day at home with the kids and the missus. Have a seat here in the garage. Let me grab you a beer." And I never thought of it that way till you shared that story.
Oh, yeah. And everything was good as soon as you said that.
Everything's right with the world.
Right. I used to go to different liquor stores because I didn't want to know the shopkeeper that I think I'm an alcoholic. So I had like 6 liquor stores I used to go in. And I also knew every trash can around that area. Yeah. And I'm outside. We pick the kids up from school. We're having McDonald's in the car. We're parked up on a street, and the wife's got all the rubbish. And she said, "Hey, where's the nearest trash can?" I said, "First left and second right." And she looked at me, and I realized, oh my God, I know where every trash can is, so I can fire my empty bottle in there. It's crazy.
Yeah. I always tell this story too. That I never knew what to do with the empty pill bottles. You ever heard this story, Jason? I never knew what to do with the empty pill bottles because, God forbid, I should just throw them in the garbage at home and everybody thinks I'm a drug addict, right? Because like they don't know. So I used to take them and I'd rip off the labels, but I'd put them in a 33-gallon garbage bag, hefty garbage bag, and I would throw it up in the rafters in my garage. So, and I did this for years. Don't ask me why. I need to talk to you, Dr. Robb, about that one. So all of a sudden the years go by. I'm off to my 3rd and final treatment center. I'm there 10 days. I decide to call home, which I shouldn't have done to begin with. But while I was down there, my family decided that my mother-in-law was going to move in with us because she wasn't doing well. And they wiped out our garage to build a mother-in-law suite.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. So when I called home, nobody wanted to talk to me. My wife does not swear, by the way. And the first words out of her mouth was, "We found all your fucking pill bottles." and 4 33-gallon garbage bags stuffed with empty pill bottles came crashing down on the workers' heads. We figured there was somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 bottles, empty bottles stuffed in those bags. And those weren't the ones that I threw out the window or, walked out of a pharmacy and threw them out on the street, whatever the case may be. I mean, that's just sick stuff. I mean, that one
how the fuck are you still alive?
I get asked that all the time. I've had a couple open heart surgeries. Actually, Dr. Robb, I've had about 35 surgeries altogether. So my opioid receptors were screwed up since day one. I had a surgery a year from the time I was born till the time I was 13. And then I've had, I think 24 cents, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Crazy.
Hey, Dr. Robb, because I'm trying to push someone to write a book, why did you decide that you were going to share your story?
So there's a great story behind this. There's a couple of great stories behind, I'll tell you. And by the way, you've got to write the book. It's not about you. It's about healing in other people. That's what I got told. And it's not about you, Rob. It's about all them people are going to read it, and it's healing for you. So I was in Dallas, Texas, where I used to live, and I was surrounded by these people they were okay. I said, I'm thinking of writing a book. And one laughed. One said, don't be so stupid. You can't write a book. You're not an author. I never wrote a book. Came down to San Antonio. Now I'm surrounded by these great guys. I said, I'm thinking of writing a book. One said, oh my God, I would buy that in an instant. And the other one said, oh my God, I thought you already had books out there. So I wrote a book. It was kind of this thing for like 5 years or so, 6, 7, 8 years when I met my wife, current wife. And we just kept saying it. So I would write things on scraps of paper and it would just be crazy. But finally I did it, and it's the most healing thing I have ever done. I mean, it really is. But we didn't have a title for the book. So this is how in my life, God works in my life. About a month, 2 months before we're going to release it, my daughter got in contact with me. The daughter I've not seen for 30 years because they took him off her when she was 3. So she messaged me. I messaged her back straight away and went over there. And, we just loved each other. She handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. And I told her about the book. And I said I dedicated to her and her and my wife. And I turned around and said, what the hell are we going to call the book? And she said, do you remember the last thing I said to you at the age of 3 as the police were leading me out? And I said, no. And she said, I said, Daddy, please stop drinking. So that's where the title came from. It's just unbelievable. It's not, you're never going to, I got told from a publisher, you're never going to get rich or anything like that from a book. Don't expect any money of it, whatever you do. Last year, we probably did $200 because we did ours through Amazon. So they get like 60%, 70%. But I've changed people's lives with that book. I changed my own life with that book. And I don't know, man. It's just, you've got to do it. You've got to do it, man. We keep saying we're going to do stuff. We're going to do stuff. It's like, I'm telling you now, from Monday, you need to start that book. There's your challenge.
There's my challenge.
Monday, you start jotting down or voice thinking, and start writing that book, man. Because, I know you've got a lot of experience and I know you're a good guy and I know you do it for the right reasons. And I'll tell you categorically right now, I'll be the first in line to buy that book because there's not many of us around. 3 of us know what we're talking about. We know we don't rip people off. And just for that book to be out there would be phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It was extremely important for me. I mean, I guess writing a book is no different than just journaling, because I've journaled over the years, and that's a big part of, I believe it's a huge part of recovery, to just get that stuff down on paper, but you're right. It is to help others. It's just a lot of times I feel like I'm just not smart enough, to do
Take it away, Dr. Robb.
Here we go. Yeah. I got the right guy in front of me, I guess, to deal with that little nuance.
Well, that's a natural thought pattern, though. We do so much. We're caregivers. We give so much to other people when it comes to us saying, hey, you're amazing. We go, I'm just doing my job. Or, hey, that book would be great. Oh, I don't know. I'm just a normal guy. I mean, none of us are normal. If anybody suffers from drug addiction or alcoholism, we're not normal. Somebody said to me one day, don't you find alcoholism like an affliction? And I says, no, once you recover, it's a superpower. It definitely is a superpower. You know, we're born with $1 million minds, but what happens is we hang around 10-cent minds while we're using and drinking, and they knock all of our ambitions out of us. You know, it starts to put that $1 million brain back on again, and you know, take some time to realize that this is going to be very healing. It's going to help lots of people, and you know, I mean, it's nice as well to be a published author. That sounds really good to me. I never thought in a million years. Now, I must admit, I have something you don't, and that's a very, very smart wife. Because all I did was bits of paper, you know, written on something like this that was screwed up. So I said, hey, yeah, this is what I wrote down before. Or voice text, and it was just crazy. But somehow she put all this stuff together and came to me one day and said, there's your book.
I'll tell you what, these women are amazing.
Oh.
You know, they just are. I've been so blessed. God has blessed me with a woman that I literally met when I was 16, and we are still married. Awesome. She stuck with me through this whole thing. Now, she kicked my butt out on a few occasions, you know, but for the most part, you know, she's the reason why I'm sitting here, you know.
Well, I must tell you, I've never read my book. I've never watched me on TV. Yeah, right. I've never watched any of my podcasts. I don't, because then the only reason why I do is because I'm kind of up there with you know, I don't know, a couple of $1 million is what my salary is right now with all the TV work, but I might buy into that shit. That's why I don't. I might start believing the hype out there that the Dr. Robb's, I know what I can do. I'm proud of what I can do, but I don't need the hype, because my addiction with the hype, I'll start believing that shit. I remember coming off in Paramount Studios, coming off the set, and they send you a car to pick you up. They take you, they fly you over first class. They put you in a 5-star hotel, and they give you a chauffeur that takes you from the hotel to the Paramount Studios and then back again. And I remember one time we'll come off, and it was a great show, and I was hyped up, and I said to my wife, where's my chauffeur? But in a narcissistic way. Yeah. Where's my chauffeur? I want to get home. She slapped me across the face, man. She looked me in the eyes, and she said, if I ever hear you say that again, we're going to have a problem, and we're not going to be in the same house. Don't you ever talk down to anybody like that. He's gracious. These are gracious enough to do it, and this guy's kind enough to take you from A to B. Don't you ever say that. And it was a big lesson for me, guys. Sure. And since that, I've never watched anything. Just, you know.
I actually don't like watching myself, you know. It's, you know, whether it's television or, you know, the podcast, you know, because I'm on quite a few stuff around here, but I do not like watching myself. I just don't do it.
Oh, so you have a guy like me that's forced to have to watch himself. I see how it is. Funny. But Dr. Robb, you present something that's really, really important. And the ego versus self-esteem, especially when we come out of this, because one's overinflated and the other doesn't exist when we start with recovery. And I don't, at Flindt, he's great. He's so gracious with me. He sits, listens, almost my therapist at times. Where it's like, don't we have shit to get done around here? But really, like, I am so overly worried about ego, but I don't know that I differentiate ego and self-esteem too well. So I'm so worried about that I don't feel I've done the right area of self-esteem, which is, I know I'm good at this. I'm good at this. I've earned this shit, as opposed to when somebody, oh man, that was really great. That changed my life. You know, like, you know, shying away from something. So it's, I don't know. Do you know where I'm going with that? I'm rambling.
You know, I do, because this is what happens to us. And it comes from the rooms of 12-step meetings. Or watch your ego. When we start, listen, I'm a recovered alcoholic, as it says in that book, a 12-step book. You know, I've gained my health and state of mind. That's what the Oxford English says. And that means that I've been restored to sanity, step 2. And that I'm no longer allergic to alcohol because I've not got the mental obsession. So defense against the first drink. So it's important to know that ego is gone once we step over that bridge to shore, as the book says. There's no such thing as ego. What this is, and I'm sure you're the same, is it's 30 odd years walking with God. You see, ego is me wanting you to know I can do something, or confidence knowing I can do something, and you just observe. I don't need your adoration. I don't need your permission. Right. I know that I'm doing the right thing for the right reason. You see, when I'm in the middle of nowhere and I drop a piece of paper on the floor, do I pick it up and put it in the trash can, or do I leave it? That's your measuring stick right there. So Right. I get annoyed. It happened a few weeks ago in one of our meetings when so what's your ego? And I walked up to this guy and said, don't you ever say that again. You know, from the depths that we've been, how the hell can we have ego? This is confident and education and experience that we've gotten. You know, if me and you could swap places for 2 minutes, all that shit would have gone in 2 seconds when you see who you really are. And the only reason why we don't completely think that we are that good is because of our self-sabotaging brain. That's all it is. But I don't think you could be egoistic if you tried. You save a lot of people's lives. You do a lot of podcasts. You know, as soon as I turned on today, I just got a link. That's all I get. I'm that busy. And I put it on. It was you. I was like, oh, brilliant. It's going to be awesome because, you know, you guys change a lot of lives. So I'm really adamant against the ego and the confidence or the self-esteem. It's they're miles apart. You know, you can tell somebody's not recovered from alcoholism by the way they act. Right. You know, just watch them in a meeting, watch them down the street, watch them at a party. And then I can spot somebody who's recovered from alcoholism, like the founders and the first 100 recovered from alcoholism. And you can tell we've become gentlemen. We become kind, we become courteous. You know, but the only thing is we're either good at something or we don't do it. We're terrible. We don't have that middle setting. So when we are good at what we do, it's important that we know how good we are. You know, and because nobody knows, guys. I think I shared this story last time we were on, but I was in the Dallas building some years ago and this guy come in and he was suicidal. And then I spent an hour with him. He goes out, he's whistling, he's saying bye to all the staff. And there was a young nurse and a seasoned nurse in the kitchen. And the young nurse says, oh my God, did you just see what Dr. Kelly did? That guy was suicidal. It's absolutely amazing. The older nurse knew what the game was. She said, yeah, I know he is. Yeah. Have you told him that? And she went, oh, no. Oh, God, no. God. I mean, he already knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows, okay? We need to remember this. Is like the only reason why we think we're any good is when people tell us. Them guys, they already know. It's a great podcast. Nobody knows, guys. Right. And that's why I compliment people and I tell the truth. If this was a crap podcast, I wouldn't be on it. Right. You know, I would have clicked on and gone, oh, I've done it loads of times, guys, believe it. Clicked on and go, oh, no. Clicked off again. You're not getting my time for an hour, you know. But we have to realize that, you know, we're all saving lives and there's no ego in this. It's like, if I concentrate on the money, I miss the dream, guys. I've said it again, but it's so true. Yeah. I want that dream for everybody. But when I start concentrating on money, it goes. And that's where the confidence comes from. It's like, God, I'll start this. I will not go hungry. I will not have somewhere to stay. It might be a 1-bedroom apartment. It might be a 6-bedroom house, but I will always be looked after if I do the right thing. But I have to be confident to do that. I used to walk in rooms, guys, all the time and go, oh my God, I wonder who likes me. I walk in rooms today and I go, who the fuck do I like in here? In a confident way, you know?
You just helped me understand Flindt a lot more.
Oh, so funny.
Well, and, you know, and the other day I was telling Jason this too. You know, look, we had a little incident that happened around here in the office, and I know it made him a little nervous. Because, you know, I got a little. It
wasn't an internal issue,
right? It was not an internal issue. It was an outside issue that was brought into our office.
Yeah.
And the bottom line here was I told Jason, look, there are times when we have to stand up for ourselves too.
Yes.
And there has to be a time when if we have to go into a fight, we go into a fight, but we know how to do it correctly. We know, but you know, you can't back down to just because we're in recovery doesn't mean that we don't stand up for ourselves either.
I like that. And you know, I'm a big fan of the big book, 164 pages. It's probably the best piece of literature I've ever read, spending 26 years studying addiction. That's probably the best piece of literature. And there's a great line in there. He said, as God's people, we bow before no man. You know, I have that invisible line. I will give you the shirt off my back.
Right.
Loads of people come to us for money. You have thousands and thousands. Last year, hundreds of thousands of dollars we give away. But you step over that invisible line and start taking advantage, and you're going to see that hood guy. Just because I'm a doctor, I grew up in the projects, man. I will kick your ass quicker than you can blink. Right. I will stamp on your head and drag you out and bury you in the garden. Right. Make no mistake about it. I'm a nasty son of a bitch when you annoy me, but 99% of me is kindness. But yeah, we don't bow. Well, I don't anyway. as honorable men, this is part of recovery for me. This is part of having a sound mind, of that confidence. Is like, if I'm wrong, I will admit I'm wrong, but don't whatever take advantage of me, because that doesn't sit well with me. And that comes from my homelessness. That comes from my poor family that can't afford anything. We just about ate once a day if we were lucky. That comes from that. My dad said to me, as poor as he was, he said, you can become anybody you want, Rob, but never disrespect anybody. If he's the cleaner, if he's the CEO, makes no difference.
Right.
Treat everybody the same. And it's a big lesson for me. That's what I do today.
Right. I don't mean this as being funny. I'm finally looking in the mirror.
Sure.
With you, Dr. Robb. I don't mean that as funny. I don't mean that in any other regard. I'm finally met and talking with a gentleman that is me sitting there. And it's so comforting to know. I'm almost ready to lose it. It's so comforting to know that you're doing what you're doing. I'm doing what I'm doing for the right reasons. And I almost feel like I'm understood by you.
Yes.
And I don't want that to sound all gooey and goofy. And
it is. It's all right. I'm about to cry. Dr. Robb's made me cry before. You might as well take your shot.
Because again, I've been known as the hard ass around here, but in kind of the industry and taking sobriety seriously and those kinds of things. But I also remember a young man outside of our door one day who it was early in the morning. He comes walking out and he was embarrassed because he was peeing in the bushes. And I looked at this young guy and I'm not kidding. I said, man, I know you from somewhere. And he said, well, I went to this local high school. I played baseball. He actually played baseball against one of my sons. And I told him two things. I said, look, if you ever have to go to the bathroom, I said, come upstairs. I said, I'll give you the key. You can wash up, clean up, use the bathroom, it's totally up to you. I said, on the other hand, and again, I don't talk about this stuff much. I gave him $100. I said, go down to the nice little inexpensive hotel down the street here. I said, go down there, spend a night or two. If you need to spend more time, come back and see me, kind of a thing. And, but now 5 minutes after that, I could be sitting there, kind of going back to Flindt again, but I know that I'm doing it for the right reasons. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I love it. That's why I love Jay so much. We've met on a couple of occasions, and I just an honorable person who's doing it for the right thing, and that's what I love. And yeah, we're all the same. We're kinfolk, there's not many of us around. Sometimes I post something. If somebody says, hey, can you post this $100 you give me? And I post it, and you get them guy, oh, you shouldn't be posting shit like this. It's like, listen, dude, first of all, shut up. Fucking shut up. And secondly, it inspires others. I did it yesterday. I often put on my Facebook, who needs $50 today? Tell me why. I'm going to cash app it to you. And it's a guy jumped on and said, Rob, I want to give $50 as well. That's why I do it.
Right.
But yeah, it's like we all understand each other. We all have a love for this deal. And I think that genuine mindset, it shows through, it really shows through, because I got emotional sometimes when I talk about my daughter still leaving. I think I did last time, Jay. I talk about my daughter being taken off me. I mean, it's just like, I will cry in front of everybody. One of my daily psychiatric tests that I ask people is, when's the last time you cried in front of somebody? And if you go, it's been years, I go, okay, well, he's closed off. He's emotionally unavailable straight away.
Right.
It's like, guys shouldn't cry. Says who's making these rules up?
Right.
I don't like these rules.
Real men do cry.
Of course. Yeah.
Right.
But real men are strong. And, everybody needs a leader. That's one of my sayings. And it needs to be us. If not me, who? If not now, when? Step up. Everyone, especially through the pandemic. My wife's a strong person, man. She's strong and she's independent. When I met her, and she was a director of a hospital. She had money, she had cars, she had houses. But, during the pandemic, she went to pieces. That was me to step up as a man, confident man, and go, hey, it's going to be okay. I'm going to walk you through this. And I do the same with patients. I do it with friends. I like I say, I bless somebody every time I leave the house, monetary, because it's what we do, guys. Right. It's what we do. And
what we do.
Story. I love that story.
And it's who we are.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't think I'm going to stick my neck out. I don't think you can learn this in university. I don't think you get taught it. I think it's from our makeup, from our caregivers. You know, it's passed down traits, and that deep down inside from where we've come from, we never forget that. And that's why we're kind. We have the big heart. But you know something? I don't always wear it on my sleeve. Right. You know, so I get, you know, and I think, I don't know, I'm happy with my life. I love myself today. And I'm just blessed, man, beyond, because we can do this. And I'm blessed to be on here with you guys because you get me and I get you.
Absolutely. We're blessed as well. Absolutely, we are.
Well, Jay's only got to contact us and go, hey, I need you in San Francisco tomorrow. And you know I'm going to get on a plane, Jay. You know that, don't you?
I do. I still got to get my ass to San Antonio one of these days.
Maybe Jason and I'll take a little trip out there. You never know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Love to see you.
Definitely.
Dr. Robb, if people want to know more about what you folks are doing, get a hold of you. I recommend following Dr. Robb. I was a part of that thread yesterday that you were talking about. And ironically, I think it was myself and Helen Bratton, who I became acquainted with through Dr. Robb, one of lady that studied under him. Awesome story, what she's done with herself and her disability because of her addiction. But I think a few of us just said, please, I hope it goes to a needy mom with children or something like that. And it's exactly where it went. So definitely follow Dr. Robb on Facebook if he accepts it. And, you know, anyways, where else can they find you?
Jump on any search engine, Dr. Robb Kelly, ROBBKLLY. .com is the website. Jump on the website. There's a book there called Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. Every single $9, not the profit. Every single $9 you spend goes back out. If you don't like the book, text me. I'll send you $9 back. There's also a free webinar. Now, the webinar is very important because I'm talking about trauma with addiction. It's a free webinar. It's in August, but you can click on in my website, click on it, and it's amazing. It's going to have some great stuff. It's me talking for an hour or two on stuff that you've never heard of before, stuff that you would never hear anybody else. When it comes to addiction, I'm the guy. That's confidence, guys. And you're going to learn a lot. So click on that, get registered. And there's also a call to action. And the call to action, guys, is for this. If you're sat at home and thinking that you're not worthy, if you're sat at home thinking that you're not good enough, that you'll never amount to anything, I want to apologize to you guys. Somebody's put that there. Click on that button that says go direct to Dr. Robb. It comes direct to my cell phone. If I'm not answering, it means that I'm obviously with somebody. You leave a voicemail, I'll call you back. I'll give you a 10-minute pep talk that will change your life. And if it doesn't, I'll send you $100. It's a win-win situation. Shut up. No, I'm serious. Oh my God. Bang. There we go, baby.
We'll put that link in the podcast.
That's got to go. That's got to go. I love it.
I love you, Dr. Robb. Thank you, Flindt.
You know what? Thank you. That's all I can say is thank you. This has been an absolute joy to talk to you and to listen to you. It's I don't know what else to say. God bless you, man. I'd love to get together with you another time and just shoot the shit over some things, man. I really
100%, would, man. 100%, be awesome. We should have a coffee meeting.
Absolutely,
with a few of us on there. I do that with a couple of people. It's so freaking good, you know. And just a big shout out to the parents. God bless you guys. You know, if you're going through this, call the office again. Every phone call and everything we help you with is free of charge. If you're a wife or a mother or a father, you know, or a husband, and you don't know where to go, what to do, and you just, you know, completely buzzed by this whole disease and actions, call us. If we're in treatment, you know where you're going to these guys. But nothing's going to cost you from here. My wife and my staff will speak to you every single day for 10 years. We'll talk you down. We'll give you advice. We'll never charge you. It's all about family to family. Let our family help your family.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call Parents and Addicts in Need at 559-579-1551 or check us out online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media at Pain Nonprofit. Please subscribe to the podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts. To donate, please click the link in the description and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.
This podcast contains the views and opinions of hosts and their guests to the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for informational purposes only. And because each person is sharing their unique perspective, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. Views and opinions expressed in the podcast and website are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we are sharing is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Privacy is of the utmost importance to us. For those wishing anonymity, people, places, and scenarios mentioned in the podcast have been changed to protect confidentiality at the request of certain guests. This website or podcast should not be used in any legal capacity whatsoever, including but not limited to establishing standard of care in a legal sense or as a basis for expert witness testimony. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on the podcast or website. In no way does listening, reading, emailing, or interacting on social media with our content establish a doctor-patient relationship. If you find any errors in any of the content of this podcast or blogs, please send a message through the contact page.